Today someone's coming to our workshop and I'm super excited about it. It's the first time I'm going to be cooking in our test kitchen. Chef and author Claire Saffitz, and I'm looking forward to cooking with her. So this is the workshop.
Great, wow.
Let me show you inside. This is
Okay.
where we're going to cook together.
All right,
today.
thanks. What a cool space.
Thank you.
Brand new.
We just opened just a few days ago.
Wow. Everything looks so beautiful and delicious.
You're going to have to try something.
Is that croissants is what's happening here?
Yes.
Wow.
She's getting the croissant now.
Wow. I'm really mesmerized by the the chocolate macaron. Yeah. They look so perfect.
All right, Sonia, what are you doing?
Oh no.
Maybe we should go and get cooking with Claire.
Yeah, there we go.
Shall we cook something together?
Wow.
What do you think? Now that we've seen the kitchen?
Are you hungry, Cillian?
He's
Little
always
snack time?
Little snack. So Claire, I'm really excited. You're the first one ever to cook in my test kitchen. And today we're gonna make something really special, right?
I'm honored, yeah, and I'm glad that we can christen it with this recipe, which is a family recipe that is from my grandma. And I recently learned that her father was a baker. So we have sort of a handful of family recipes, and this is one of them. So it's very close to my heart, and I'm excited to show you.
So what are we making today?
So we're making noodle kugel. We have some egg noodles here. So this is the base of the recipe, these wide egg noodles. And then it's very straightforward. We have some whole milk, cottage cheese, sour cream, a little bit of sugar. And I add a little cinnamon, which is not part of the original recipe, but I like it. It's not even really pronounced. It's just kind of a warming sort of ingredient. Eggs and some butter. So I always say about kugel, it's not health food at all. It's very
It's comfort food.
Yeah, it's comfort food, exactly.
It's something you grew up with and something that has an emotional connection with it. Right?
Yes. So this has been a hallmark of like every family gathering and holiday and all that. So it always appears, and we request it. My mom makes it. So
that's exciting.
and it's really easy to put together. The original recipe from my grandma has no salt in it, so obviously I changed that a lot. So the first step is to boil the egg noodles. The noodles will continue to soften a little bit in the oven, and then when they're done, I ladle them directly into this bowl with the butter. So we can separate those eggs, and actually I'll grab that bowl again.
I can help you with that.
Okay, yeah, great. If you want to put the yolks in here and the whites
So you won't
in the
set
bowl.
the yolks.
Yes, we use the. Oh, I like your method for separating for cracking the.
Should I do this
no.
one?
No, I haven't. No, I'll have to practice that. I'll go on this side. I'll switch sides with you,
Sounds
and I'll
good.
just see how the noodles are.
I use the bottom of this one. Most of the time it works. Not this one. It depends.
It never works on camera.
Yeah, it didn't work on camera.
So I just transferred the noodles in here, and I'm just tossing it to melt the butter, and then we have our egg whites. Also, the oven is on 350, and I have just a 13:9 pan here. I like to bake in metal, so this is a metal one, and then heavy-duty foil and a lot of butter.
This is about like 3 inches tall, maybe?
Yeah, and then basically everything else goes in here. So we have a pound of full-fat cottage cheese, a third of a cup of sugar. So it's really not, yes, it is a sweet recipe, but it's not a lot. 8 ounces of sour cream.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, and the dairy has its own natural sweetness too. And I also add a little extra salt, even though we salted the water for the noodles. And something sort of not traditional in my grandma's recipe, but a little bit of cinnamon, just like a pinch, really. And so this is like a common brunch food. So it kind of, I don't know, the cinnamon, it kind of works, I think. You can eat it hot, warm, or room temp. It doesn't really matter. So I'll often reheat it actually. So if you cut it warm, it'll fall apart a little bit. I just not cold, but I think I like a room temp the best maybe. And then just stir all this together.
So you want to add the yolks towards the end so it doesn't cook?
Right, yeah, not when the noodles are straight out of the pot.
It does look rich and silky.
It's rich, it is. Not diet food, I like to say. And then the egg whites.
So you want to put all the egg whites at once?
Yep, all at once. And the egg whites really kind of disappear into everything else. And so once it looks combined.
Yeah, that looks delicious.
Yeah. And there's a lot of liquid, but that gets absorbed by the noodles and the starch.
So would you
sets
say
everything.
it's more of a savory dish or a sweet dish, or maybe somewhere in between?
Definitely sweet. I mean, I think other noodle kugel are much sweeter than this one. I like that it's not too sweet.
And this goes in the oven at 350 for
Yes.
about how long?
45 to an hour, depending on your oven. So you're just looking for some little crispy edges on the noodles and some brown, golden brown around the surface, and it'll puff a little
The
bit.
inside should be baked by then.
Yes, yes. So it'll be a little puffed, and if you'll press on it, it'll feel firm and kind of spring. You almost got it. You almost got it.
So tasty.
Ooh.
How's that? So good. Good job.
There
so
we
this
go.
is my first time trying to. This is really
There you go.
delicious. I didn't know what kugel was. Can you tell me a little bit the story behind
Yeah,
this dish?
kugel is sort of a classic Ashkenazic recipe. So you see it in Jewish baking. It's a sweet noodle casserole. Although sometimes it's made with potato, in which case it's savory. But in my family, we always made the noodle version, and it's a lot of dairy and eggs, and it's sort of a sweet.
So it's a sweet pasta dish.
Yes, and it's baked as a casserole, and it's sort of like it has something in common with mac and cheese, although not really.
Yeah, kind of. Like mac
little
and cheese.
bit.
I can see that. Yeah.
Jewish mac and cheese. And then what I like about it is that the top, as it bakes, the noodles on top get crunchy and crispy, and then you have this sort of soft.
So Claire, tell me a little bit about your childhood and how you grew up and why food is important for you.
Yeah, I grew up with two parents who both loved to cook. My mom was always a great baker, but both parents cooked all the time. We always sat down to a family meal, and so I don't think that I really understood until I got older that wasn't how like all families socialized, and that not every family is only about food all the time. You know,
Yeah,
like
that's
we would
right.
famously talk about what we would eat for the next meal while we were eating the current
That's
meal.
exciting.
You know?
My mom was a horrible cook.
Oh, really?
You're very lucky, I guess.
Really? Oh, wow. Yeah.
So Claire, tell me, how did you get into cooking?
I think for me it was in my early 20s. I was living in New York, and I actually had an internship, and I was working in a museum, and all I did all day long, I would like do all my work really fast, and then I would decide what I was going to cook for myself and my roommate for dinner, and then it was like I was spending more time and energy thinking about and cooking and exploring restaurants in New York and buying ingredients than I was doing anything else. It was really at that point that I decided I think I should pay attention to what I'm feeling, which is that like this is the only thing I really want to do.
Yeah, it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
When you think about food, but not only like cooking, but also like cooking for the people you love.
Yeah.
So I always ask people to give me, what do you think is the best piece of advice for Cillian growing up?
I think if I had to give a piece of advice sort of in life and in food, it would be to sort of not have fear when it comes to trying new things and try anything once. As with food, I believe in like trying anything once and not deciding beforehand if you like it or don't like it.
I like that too.
So just try to not make decisions out of fear, especially when it's about trying new things and
Yeah, to be curious
Yeah,
and to
curious.
be adventurous when it comes to
Yeah, exactly.
I like
so
that. Cillian, you were just 1 year old when we filmed this video. I hope that someday you're old enough that you can look back and see the people we've met, our friends, our family, your aunts and uncles, and all those beautiful recipes that are passed down from generation to generation. And maybe someday you use some of my recipe to cook with your friends, to cook with your family, and you remember the time we had together.